On this day, I hereby come before the nation on behalf of my fellow students because our conscience has hope over fear, conflicts, and discord. A greeting of peace to our government. Over the past 4 years, the students have progressed through an academic field that has been full of timeless strikes and demonstrations and constant wars in which many students have ended up giving up with their education and dropping out of schools to accept plowing a hard earth and endure with the straining hardships of this dark world. But the noble cause for this is the Ministry of Education and Sports that is currently shaped by Honorable Janet Kataha, Honorable John Christo Miingo, Honorable Menya Erusaniya and Honorable Obua Dennis Hanison. As the students of this nation, we are not contented with your services and your administration to us as the students. Within your regime of the current time, we witnessed the abnormal increment of school fees payments in schools and raised the fees tax to about 33.7 government tax since the regime of Honorable Jessica Lupo. This fees increment has left millions of the school-going children and our parents to survive on loans and debts from the banks and the circles, both in homes and schools, which has caused the banks to confiscate every worldly possessions of our parents with signs and symbols reading bankers' property and for sale. However, none amongst you, Honorable Janet Kataha, and your cabinet has taken the responsibility to address the school fees torture, and your cabinet is still shining in offices without addressing our issues before the government other than attending to less mattering issues of the nation. The president earlier on introduced a science project to empower the science education more, but in the universal schools, primary and secondary, we completely have no science laboratories and our laboratory experiments are carried out on candle flames with no equipment across the universal education in Uganda. But you, Honorable Christo Miingo, in charge of education for High Commission, you are comfortably seated in your office and responsible for our issues, but seeking for respect and honor amidst this miserable education status that we are undergoing through. We have tried to pledge strikes and demonstrations in the universities and in a few high schools to take your attention, but instead you have responded to us through the police brutality that has always caused abrupt deaths of our fellow sisters and students in the schools as students of the nation. And as the fellow students are suffering the injustice and the police-caused diseases, including breast cancer, heart cancer, and blood cancer due to excess and expired tear gas applied often at us and making us crippled of our nature due to the police brutality as students in the nation. But despite of this magnificence, you are in your offices comfortably seated and waiting for honor and respect from the parents and the students who are undergoing these hardships. The late Honorable Namirembe Vitamazira and Jessica Lupo used to surrender at open time to the students who in different aspects of life used to settle issues as the ministers of education together with the students in open dialogue. But for you instead tell us that you have no time for us the students even when we come to your offices to seek for your attention. The students' rights have been abused maximally within your regime because you don't take responsibility of our affairs. But you assume high national duties which up to the present day, we don't see any achievements attained from those duties that always make you withdraw your attention from us the students and whom we assumed you were in charge of. Social rejection and segregation based on one's backgrounds and the character of the economy have washed all your offices of national merit, more particularly your office of the Minister of Education, in which most of your organizations, including school fees loan scheme and students' application to any state universities referred as the job forms are now a money collecting basket from the poor Ugandans and the parents to satisfy the cabinet members of those organizations. Political anger has swept across the imperial ambitions of the schools, especially in universities and private institutes. But despite of this magnificence, Honorable Janet Kataha and Honorable Miying, you still tell the nation that you have nothing to address upon these prevailing issues as the Ministers of Education and Sports. We are not contented and satisfied with your leadership as the current Minister of Education and Sports, even when we stand amidst fear to forward our itching complaints before you. Dead years and dead semesters are now the documents of harvest to the students across higher learning, across higher levels of learning, and we only recognize your presence in the nation during the time of UNEB examination rallies. We are cultivating a hard and rocky earth because of the failure for you, the current ministers of education, to define your role as expected before us, the students. There shall neither be rest nor tranquility in the schools and institutions of learning and the universities until the students are granted their reliable rights of liberty and a favorable measure of school fees payments in this nation. The whirlwinds of revolt shall continue, and wars shall continue to shake the foundations of this nation until a bright new day shall emerge. We are not contented and satisfied with you, our minister. We are not satisfied with you, the Minister of Education, and your services before us, and we shall never be happy as long as this situation continues to become the daily program in our schools across the nation. And we shall continue to let our bleeding tears and hearts before you and before the government until a bright new day shall emerge. I remain Menya Erusaniya, President, Students' Body, for God and my country.